You know, they just don't make sunsets like that in other places of the world. So I'm still in the Midwest. Iowa sunsets are pretty, Indiana sunsets are pretty. Driving down some of those roads with the trees on both sides is fun to be out here. What's even more fun is picking up another job lot. This time at the low cost of free. The catch here is that there's going to be a lot of work to get this into collection ready state, I would say. But it's good looking stuff. This specific tin here appears to be a trove of vintage, and it's been a good long while since I got a hold of 60s era. It's about a year, I think. Looks like that's what we've got here. I have not looked beyond the surface at this lot yet, so I have no idea just in terms of level of cleanliness on it, the level of contaminated objects is very high in this one, looks like. But it's a good couple pounds worth of pieces. Thanks to my buddy in Ohio for getting this lined up for me. Was able to meet up and bring it back to get started on the next job lot. Alright, so the approach here is going to be pick first, count later. Probably try to eliminate the non-Lego completely before I do any cleaning or any breakdown work. And actually I have to start with the metal tin that's over here because the bottom is rusting out. It is in bad shape. So I'm just gonna get that. Yeah, it's not pretty. Okay, we've got some nice stud imprints in the rust in the bottom of that. Can't say I've seen that before. But the good news is this appears to be a high percentage of original Lego. And not only original Lego, but vintage Lego. The waffle plates, the thick sidewall. This guy here is the 4x4 corner brick. It's not produced for a very long time frame. Some of those nice old gears, but major downside here is that rust really making its presence known on the bottom layer of pieces that I unfortunately just dumped on top of the rest of it. So yeah, I think the process here is going to be the stuff that is somewhat salvageable. Well, it's all salvageable, but the stuff that doesn't have that level of rust on it is going to get isolated first, and the stuff that does have that level of rust on it will get isolated over here. Determine how detrimental that rust is to the parts themselves before trying to count that as something worth keeping. This is the uncolored ABS mix. So this kind of milky white color is just the result of not putting any coloration pellets into the mix. There's a few production parts cast in that color, back in the 60s. But other than that, it would be, well, it's just raw ABS plastic, so it's non-production. It's an interesting sticky phenomenon with the old rubber material. It's a decent looking car. I think this is all okay here. So that'll be the approach for the metal tin batch, which looks to be mostly vintage. Work this all the way down, repeat for the red tub. Oh, something like that, I guess. Over on the left side is the stuff. That'll still get washed, but it doesn't need special care, special attention. I think the pieces over here on the left side really don't have that much rust. Seems like as much as the ones I put over here where it's almost embedded. Just get some of the stuff up a little closer and take a look at it. This is one of the most interesting sections here, where we actually have stuff stuck to itself. It's in pretty bad shape. I'm gonna put a couple of these types of pieces in the water, just see what happens if it comes off easy. If it's, you know, if that's something that's actually in the plastic, that's not very redeemable, but in any case, it's kind of a minority of the parts, so that's good. The other stuff in the bin that wasn't Samsonite Lego is kind of an interesting mix of these cube style toys with the little slotted sidewalls and then the panel pieces here. These are known as the Build-O-Fun Tupper toys, made in Orlando, Florida. Get that in the light. You can catch the pattern, the text on there. So this would be probably similar era to Samsonite. Don't see a date on it. It's got a patent number 662059, Canadian patent. US patent 3,032,000 something. Can't quite read it, but there's quite a bit of that in there, whatever that is. Build-O-Fun. And then these trees. I want to say that these aren't Lego, but I could be wrong. Lego made similar types of kind of the cityscape foliage and stuff like that back in the town plan era, which would be where this is from. So there's a small chance it's Lego, but I don't know that material well enough to say for sure whether or not it is. The other thing that's in here and is also in the other red tub quite a bit are these really tiny. It'd be similar to the micro blocks, that Space Needle I got a couple of years ago, but it's basically an older version of those. Bring those into focus here. They're small. I don't collect that, so that's probably going to go away. It doesn't have any stacking ability that I can see. It just has kind of those, maybe it's not even like a brick type toy. Maybe it's supposed to be something else. I'm kind of missing that. And then there's some random stuff. The Smurfs Free Ride, 1983. Bike license plate, maybe. It's kind of fun. And this fella, part of me wants to say this is Rescuers Down Under without actually having seen, I don't even know if it's a TV show or a movie or what it is, but I feel like I've seen this character before, and that's the name that comes to mind. So someone who does have that background in the comments can tell me where that guy belongs, because it is not in my Samsonite Lego collection. he does need a new home somewhere. So the Smurfs free ride, the Rescuers fella, those guys are travel buddies looking for somewhere to go at this point. And there's like three Tinker Toys and a fire truck. So a lot of rust particles that I'm not super happy about cleaning out of the Lego, but most of it is contained in here, so that's good. And probably the best thing to do with this now, maybe take a few things out until I know for sure what it is, but the rest of this can get dumped in the trash can, I think. One of these decent Samsonite Lego bins, I've been putting some goodies in, so we'll look at that. But first, red bucket time. I think this time I'm not going to just dump it upside down. I'm going to try to scoop out. Oh man, there's a lot of junk in here. Ooh, Harry Potter torso. Oh, okay. It's not all garbage. It is a big mess though. Significant amount of debris that I'm not going to just dump. Let's get the last few pieces out of here. Most of which are knockoff. Now, since this was a gift, I'm not going to be doing my usual thoroughness in terms of percent Lego, percent knockoff, percent garbage, like my tracking. I'm still going to get a count of the actual decent Lego for that record, but I'm not really gonna keep track of everything else like I would if this was a purchase. When it is a purchase, I like to know that breakdown. In this case, just going for a count of the actual Lego here, and just an initial inspection, 70 to 80%. That might be generous, and that might be the closest we get because, like I said, I'm not going to count the knockoff Lego. So there's a couple pieces in here, just right on top actually. This is the Voldemort torso. This looks to be the kind of the recent within the last 3 or 4 years. So this would be a recent piece here. That is a Skull and Crossbones print. I'm not sure what it goes to, but it's Lego. Is this the Junior Spider-Man, or is this a knockoff? Looks like the Jack Stone size. I'll have to look that one up, because I know that they had a Spider-Man. And this would be Star Wars Jedi torso, but it's got the yellow hands, so automatically you know that's back. Range of years here. Pretty typical. Alright, so same thing once again. Probably will pull Lego out rather than pull knockoff out, and work my way all the way down to where it's just the unwanted stuff in here, and Might have to go a couple rounds to get it all the way down, but that approach seemed to work pretty good for the vintage. It's very nice. Rubberized hair component. Is this a CMF? Yeah, I'll have my little goodie bin for that kind of stuff as well. We'll take a look at kind of that first round results once I get this worked down. Get a little recap here where we're at so far from the modern mix of pieces. Actually significant minifigures, at least partials anyway. I don't know if I've got any one complete minifigure here from a specific set, but a lot of good components. Some of the clone trooper, these are the special commando troops with the blue, so I haven't seen too many of those. Then I think I've got a Yeti lower body, wild style, missing just the hairpiece there. A couple other Star Wars prints, the 2 Harry Potter prints. I did get a Harry Potter face, and this is a double-sided one, so maybe more of a recent part there. That's a CMF. That's kind of an older one, pretty generic. And then those 2 other specialized prints up there, white backpacks, Hagrid's hair, and then some prints and a sticker worthy of note, that green crystal. And I think this is the Doc Ock arm component. There would have been 2 of those connecting to a back pin, kind of that bracket piece there. I think that goes along with the Junior Spider-Man, and then one of the dark orange droids. So yeah, mix of some Star Wars and some other stuff for the minifigs. Doesn't really reflect in the pieces though. So this bin here is what I ended up with for decent Lego. Just, you know, it's not destroyed, it's not too dirty, still needs a wash, but a couple thousand pieces worth in there, I believe. And then this would be the knockoff box, so compatible stuff, mostly Mega Blocks, some Connects, but stuff that I don't really collect. It's not always the same tolerance and doesn't hold that value on the secondary market. So I'll be counting these up. I'm just gonna store that somewhere for now, and I don't know, it's in decent shape. But yeah, maybe a 60-40 split, a little lower than what I was initially thinking it was here, but still a good mix of the modern parts. And then for the vintage, probably less. Actually, the part count, you know, there's 2 bins worth here compared to 1, but the part count might be similar because a lot of the vintage are just larger pieces in general. They're in decent shape as well. The parts that had that rust problem, I worked on getting those cleaned up, and they're pretty far gone. I don't know if I'll be able to salvage any of that. The one thing I did look at was how would it look as maybe a decoration in a build, and kind of leaving that effect in there. And so kind of this rusty white brick here, if you build that into a wall, does that look like a painting? You need some imagination, so I don't know. I'll keep them on hand for now and see if anything comes up. And then the stuff I'm really excited about from the vintage are the old 1x6, 1x8 prints. So we have the hotel, the garage, and the SO service print. And these are almost a different style, where it's more of an embossed. So these were all done by hand back in the 60s. And I think these would have all been Samsonite. Then the other thing that was interesting were the old 1x1, where some of these actually don't have that lower groove. So they're all solid stud, which just means they've got no punch through in the top. They do have the Lego logo. It's kind of in the dark down here, but can maybe see that. And then the really older ones don't have that lower groove. It's just kind of the continuous cylinder all the way down. So mix of different colors of those in here. Kind of expand that. I never did have very many of these. Still don't have any light gray which was the original part used for that 1978 tractor that I did a series of videos on a while back. Well, a lot of times when I get these older vintage tires, the rubber is completely hardened and solidified. But these tires, for some reason, that they're still malleable. They're still in good rubber condition. So it would have been, something I can actually take off the rims and it won't just crumble to pieces. It probably has to do with how they're stored, how they've been exposed over the years to the elements, and for some reason these have survived better than most of the old tires I've come across, for the most part. This one's in a little worse shape, but a lot of these still have that still give. It's still squishy. Like to see that. So yeah, don't have the final piece counts for this lot yet, but I'm probably going to do a separate part. If I come back to that, I might cover it in footnotes. Just wanted to wrap this video up. Some of the stuff that wasn't even related to Lego or pieces at all. A lot of these dice, for some reason. Some of these are bowling dice. I've never seen those before. Colored pencils, a rusty fidget spinner, domino, and some cool old cars. Kind of cheap ones, but yeah, it's all in the mix. A lot of junk that went in the trash can. And I guess when it comes down to this kind of thing, it's just a matter of someone caring enough to sort it out and get it back to, collectible Lego in terms of something that I would want to have in my inventory instead of a bin mixed up with a bunch of junk and a mess. And it's just a matter of a couple hours of work to get it all sorted back and a couple more hours to get it cleaned up, and then I'll have some more Lego. So not everyone wants to do that, and that's fine. There's people that would rather just go and put that value into the purchase price of buying Lego that's already suited for, it's already cleaned up, it's already sorted out. And in my case, I'd rather save that money up front and put the value in on my own time. It's something I've talked about in some of the other bulk lot videos, but reinforce that here today. And that's kind of why I don't mind putting in the work and the effort to get stuff like that cleaned up. And yeah, it's a bit of a pain sometimes, especially with the really ugly looking lots, but end result is more Lego. Fun stuff. So thanks for watching today, guys. I'll get some stuff counted up and maybe cover that in the footnotes at the end of the month. But I did want to show some of the special goodies that I got out of this one and what that kind of looked like start to finish, at least up to the washing stage, and then from there a little bit of sorting, counting, all that good stuff. So thanks for watching. See you next time.